Fantasy Football Live, Week 13. We're here inside the commissioner's office, aka my garage, aka the party zone. We're gonna take a second here, get you up to speed with how our 12 teams got to the place that they are today, and how they'll be faring moving forward into the playoffs. Let's take a look right now at our Tomaselli brothers scoreboard. If you have a hankering for the best calzones you've ever tasted, march yourself right down to Tomaselli Brothers on Oak Lawn in Cranston. Call Your Mama went heavy out the starting gate with running backs, getting Rice, Jones-Drew, and Gore. Unfortunately for him, teams tend to throw the ball a lot, and his wide receivers left a lot to be desired. Probka, easiest schedule, although he did have the most points scored and the least points scored against him. That combined with his 1-2 punch of Aaron Rodgers and Megatron Calvin Johnson is coasting him into the first round bye. So we got Six Pack Lou, who had a mediocre draft. Basically went with Adrian Peterson, a safe bet, except for now he has a high ankle sprain and looks to be out for a few weeks. A little bit of a head scratcher there that he picked up Matt Ryan. Six Pack Lou will then have the second bye. The Rigmus had a pretty solid draft. However, when you go with a quarterback wide receiver tandem like he did with Romo and Dez Bryant, if the Cowboys have a bad week, then so does Rigmus. Stumps Chumps Remix. He had a good draft with McCoy and Austin. Schaub and McFadden's injuries have him backpedaling into the playoffs, where he's doomed for a first-round elimination. Offsides had a very questionable draft. If he makes the playoffs, he better be counting his lucky stars. Roddy White, Chris Johnson, Brandon Marshall finally turned it on. Felix Jones never did. Football is a game of inches. Fantasy football is a game of points.
Trophy delivery!
Oh, the trophy delivery, right on time. Let's see what you got.
You know this one? It's maybe for, it's all right. Without hang, all right.
Pick out a nice trophy for our league.
I particularly like this one because it's kind of round. I like round things, it's big, round.
That is a big one.
Look at this guy, he already,
I think I found the winner.
Woo! We have the winner!
Beer Burps drafted Breeze and Welker, each of which who got 50 points on any given Sunday, but Hillis killed him. The New York Football Bryants, his team consisted of 3 people basically, Brady, Wallace, and Colston. The rest was an assemblage of patch and mend crap that's gonna maybe help drag him into the playoffs. Ed's Hurricane Sunday in the draft got Fitzgerald, Roethlisberger, and Forte, just enough to put him on the playoff bubble. Rafa Erndog picked the right guys the wrong year. Phillip Rivers is probably hurt or he's on drugs, and Andre Johnson out for the year. Better luck next year. Fila committed the cardinal sin of fantasy football. You don't draft somebody who's injury prone in the second round, aka Michael Vick. And then you don't leave him in week 11 when he's sitting on the sideline nursing his ribs. Now, essentially, if you either played in or through Texas or were on the show Dancing with the Stars, chances are Lone Star is going to draft you. Lone Stars drafted Marion Barber in the first round. She drafted Hines Ward. She drafted Ocho Cinco. Rumor has it she was looking for Emmitt Smith, but he's retired. So she settled for Gronkowski in the final round. Lone Star is a prime example as to why women can't play fantasy football.
Personal foul. We women are great in every kind of fantasy. Fantasy football, fantasy baseball, fantasy hockey, fantasy basketball. We are great in all kind of fantasies.
This is our Week 13 matchups, powered by our gear. All right, so we're gonna take a look at the ramifications of the playoffs, of the outcomes of this week here 13. First off, we've got Probka, who will probably become 13-0. That means they will be beating the Rigmus, which will make them 7-6. I'm gonna say that Six Pack Lou is gonna beat Call Your Mama, which would make Six Pack Lou 9-4. And that would then in turn make Call Your Mama at 4-9. New York Football Bryants will go up to 8-5 this week, and that will then send Stump Chumps down to 8-5. We're gonna have a little bit of a tiebreaker with points between these two. A win here will send Offsides to 8-5, as well as drop Lone Stars down to 1-12. Ed's Hurricane Sunday should have no problem taking care of this deadbeat manager. He is gonna be at 7-6. And that will send Fila to 3-10. Next up, we've got Beer Burps versus Wrath of Erndog. We already know what that outcome's gonna be. Who cares? So now that we have this scenario playing out, let's take a look at where it's gonna drop people. Let's say he is number 1, he is number 2, this would be number 3. Stumps should go to 4. And this would drop Rigmus all the way down to 6. This would move up the New York Football Bryants. Offsides would stay right in the middle of the road here, skating in by the skin of his teeth. So he's in the 5th seed. This will be out on his ear. That's the award he wins. Deadbeats, out. Deadbeat, out. Commissioner's Challenge on deadbeat managers. So if this plays out the way I think it will, then we're gonna have a very interesting playoffs. It would be Probka with a bye, Six Pack Lou with a bye. That would make it so New York Football Bryants will then play Rigmus in a first round playoff. That would make Offsides then play Stump Chumps Remix for the first round of the playoffs. And again, who cares? So, as you can see, we have some very good matchups coming in for our final week before the playoffs. 6 teams will be eliminated, 6 teams will be moving on, 2 with a bye. Stay tuned.
Football!
This matchup this week between Rigmus and Probka seems to be pretty critical. Aaron Rodgers is going against the New York Football Giants, and it looks to be a shootout, which will give Aaron Rodgers plenty of points this week. And that's why Probka is my lock of the week. They're telling me we have an opportunity to ask one question to Matt Schaub. Matt, do you have anything to say to Stumps Chumps Remix for drafting you and enabling you to be a part of his team this year?
Hey, thanks a lot for having me.
I'll see you next week in football, where 6 teams will be fighting for this, but more importantly, this.